Welcome to Getting Started with SQL Server on Linux by Yasmin Azamovich, a video course by Pact Publishing. I'm Mark Thomas and I'll be the presenter for this course. Yasmin Azamovich is a university professor active in the database systems, information security, data privacy, forensic analysis and fraud detection fields. His PhD degree was in modeling design and developing an environment for the preservation of privacy inside database systems. He's the author of many scientific research papers. He's an information security consultant and an active speaker at many IT professional and community conferences. Microsoft's launch of SQL Server on Linux has made SQL Server a truly versatile platform across different operating systems and data types, both on-premise and on cloud. This course is your handy guide to setting up and implementing your SQL Server solution on the open-source Linux platform. You'll start by understanding how SQL Server can be installed on supported and unsupported Linux distributions. Then you'll brush up your SQL Server skills by creating and querying database objects. This course is an entry point for you to start your journey with SQL Server on Linux. You'll be able to recognize and utilize the full potential of setting up an efficient SQL Server database solution in your Linux environment. Now let's talk about this course. In the first section, Linux distributions, we'll cover the basics of supported Linux distributions. You'll learn about OpenSUSE and Ubuntu distributions, and will be prepared for the installation procedure. Then we'll move on to the second section, installation and configuration, where we'll cover the key points about the installation and initial configuration of SQL Server on Linux. You'll learn how to install SQL Server on Linux on the OpenSUSE and Ubuntu distributions. Next, SQL Server Basics is about the SQL Server architecture and concepts, and how they differ from other database platforms. Following that, we'll move on to Database in the Sandbox, which is about using DDL and DML sets of SQL statements in the SQL Server environment. You'll learn how to create, modify and delete a database and its objects, and how to implement insert, select, delete and update statements. Once we're done with that, we'll jump right into the fifth section, Sample Databases, which teaches you how to find and install SQL Server samples. You'll learn how to restore a sample database and browse through its structure and objects. Finally, the last section, a crash course in querying, shows you how to write efficient queries on SQL Server samples. You'll learn how to write select statements on one or more tables in combination with different sets of operators and functions. By the end of this course, you'll be familiarized with the installation procedures of OpenSUSE, Kubuntu, databases, and SQL Server on Linux. At the same time, you'll be able to create a database and perform basic operations like copying, deleting, and retrieving data with SQL on Linux. Also, you'll learn to create backup procedures inside your database environment and implement an efficient restore procedure. This course is a highly practical guide for SQL Server on Linux. We focus on how to get things up and running, whether or not you have any prior SQL or Linux experience. To achieve the full potential and get the maximum benefits from this course, you'll need OpenSUSE Leap 42.3 and Kubuntu 17.04. Last but not least, you'll need to install SQL Server on Linux. So let's begin this journey together, and I hope to see you there.